All right, everybody, welcome back to Becoming Next on Scene. I am so excited to be here with one amazing rock star that you need to know, Dom Cotton. He is an amazing singer, songwriter, and instrumentalist, and based in Australia. Hi, Dom. How are you today?
Hi, Jackie. How you going? Yeah, good. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for waking up early for us on the East Coast in the U.S. today. What time is it over there? It's like 8 in the morning, right?
It's just gone past 8. It's okay. I've got down and got my coffee, so it's all good.
I love it. And I was telling you before we started recording, your new jam is literally on replay. So I'm so excited to talk about it with my audience. Yeah. So before we get into that though, tell us a little bit about your background and how you fell into the world of music.
Yeah, so I started, I suppose I've gone full circle. So I started off as a muso and, when I left school, and that's all I wanted to do when I was 18. And then I went and got a degree in music at a place here in Sydney called the Australian Institute of Music. But I suppose I call it adult life got in the way, and especially in, sort of paying bills and whatnot as a musician is quite difficult, especially in Sydney, being, it's quite a sort of small city if you compare it to places in the East Coast and the US and whatnot. About 2021, I was like, okay, probably need to go and get an adult job and whatnot. So then I went into real estate property. So I became a real estate agent, selling properties around sort of local areas in Sydney. And then I jumped on the buying side. I became a buyer's agent, which is obviously very common in the US. Not so as it's getting more common here, but became a buyer's agent for a couple of years and then became a national manager of a business. And then at the end of 2018, I decided to go out on my own on a couple of ventures with my business with my brother as well. We're developers in Melbourne, and then COVID hit. So and what went from me going from Sydney to Melbourne every second week stopped completely. And I don't know if you guys know over there, but Melbourne was locked down for 4.5 months.
Wow.
They were locked down with a curfew. It was very tough on them, being such an outdoorsy sort of a community and whatnot. That's the right word to use. Went from me seeing my family every couple of weeks, I was literally at the Australian Open tennis 2020, saw my idol player, Roger Federer, off my bucket list, and then went back home, back to Sydney, with all the plans of going back to Melbourne, and then lockdown. We got locked down, obviously. Sydney, everyone got locked down in Australia, and then we started to open back up, and then Melbourne had another resurgence and got locked down again for another 4.5 months. So basically decimated a lot of my business. But the itch of music and the scratch there, was, I suppose, out of all the negatives that have come out of this pandemic, there's been a lot of positives as well. It forced me to revisit things, look at new things, and start writing original music. And I met a fantastic lyricist and poet who's based in the UK. Her name's Gaynor Fisher. She's based in Cambridge, and we've penned close to about 20 songs together.
Amazing.
And, yeah. So I went through a lot of people, some of the lyrics that were coming my way. You sort of look at some stuff and you go, well, that's not quite me, or that's a bit too deep for me, or something like that. And so I went through a lot, and then I sort of found her lyrics, and something a little bit different with her is that she said, "Who are your styles?" And I told her who my influences were, and she said, "Okay, I'll write a song in that style." I thought, okay, well, that's different, as opposed to going, "Here's some lyrics, just play."
Okay.
Play with it. Yeah, and so I gave her two styles to work with. It was Elvis and Kenny Rogers.
Love it. And what a combo, huh?
I know. And she came back with a title called Gambling Man. So that's going to be featuring on the album coming through. As I said, so I've still got my foot in the property world, but since the music has come through, obviously I wanted it to go well, but it's going well, and I'm like, oh geez, I've got systems and procedures to make sure I don't let things get out of control. I suppose that's the corporate coming out of me.
100%, but you almost need the analytical brain and the creative brain to keep you balanced, right? I mean, I can totally relate to that. You need both.
100%. So, and it's been interesting coming back into the world of dealing with musos again.
Right. But I was thinking like you need the creative because the creative's like the excitement, right? Like all the cool things. And the business is like, okay, you got to take a little bit of this seriously. Like in order to build it into something, you got to take a little bit of it into business, like the analytical.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, a business is a business. It's all business. And I think especially now with music is that you can do a lot of things yourself as opposed to years ago when you had to have a record do anything. Right. Or get your music played. Now, I mean, with all the software, and I was flabbergasted. I was amazed by some of the stuff that you can do on your own. And it's been an amazing journey, and we're only not even halfway through there yet.
Whatever, but you're like kicking ass, if we're going to be honest. Like you're just doing awesome. So tell me, okay, so now my audience, like your song, Get Me Outta Here, like tell us about your awesome music video, like what goes into like how you lay it out, like all the things. It's awesome.
Well, it's funny because I suppose I didn't place as much emphasis on the story as other people. Once I started telling people, they were like, "Oh my God, that's a story." I started writing the song about 11 years ago for completely different reasons, completely different, and the tune and the melody has with the chorus line is stayed. The whole form of the song is completely different to what I actually went through my old emails from 11 years ago, my demo, and I just happened to stumble upon it, played it, and I was like, oh my God, that's right, I did that, 2009, 2010, and that demo will never see the light of day. But it's amazing how as I said, I parked it for 10, 11 years. Adult life got in the way, as I call it, and then COVID, and then the inspiration just came back. Sitting there looking outside, not being allowed to go outside, and let me stress, Australia hasn't had it that bad compared to the rest of the world. But,
right, you guys have like no masks right now, right? That's what Henry was telling me yesterday.
Yeah, we don't. You still got to wear masks in public transport, so trains and things like that. But I went on the train yesterday. I went on the train for the first time yesterday in a while, and I forgot to bring the mask. But I got down there and I was like, "Oh, the mask," and the guy looked at me and just went,
"That's awesome!" Like no big deal. That's freaking awesome. Got to pick your battles here, Dom. You know what I'm saying? Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, it's. I was like, oh, I forgot it because I hadn't been on the train in a while. So, but I live quite close to the city here, so it's just one little stop right to the city. Obviously, I live in the same building as Henry. So, yeah. But as I said, back to the song, parked it for 10, 11 years, and then COVID last year when it kicked off. The inspiration sort of came rolling in. All right, okay, this is the time to start doing it and getting back into it and scratching that itch, so to speak, revisiting. And we did the song. I've actually finished recording the song probably, I think it was September last year, and we were sort of umming and ahhing about doing, because we've got the album coming as well. But as you like with everything in COVID, you get a bit of momentum or a run on and then stop. And then you can go and stop.
Inspiration, but you got to wait for the inspiration to be there too, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's of course. And then I was just saying, people are going, "You've got to release it now. You've got to release it now. You've got to release it now." And I'm like, "Oh, but what about that? No, just release it." So, as I said, in February, I released it, and we did the film clip. And a lot of the streets in the film clip is around where I live in Sydney, and where we sort of live here in Sydney is very eclectic, very artistic. All the streets are just, made for filming. They're so good. We did the film clip, and it's been close to now 30,000 views, which is
amazing.
Exciting. So,
that's so exciting.
Thank you. But it's all, and I'm sort of, it's been all very organic and very, through just people liking your stuff. And I can't, since I've started, I can't tell you how many people have been, little Instagram people and have been coming at you and go, "We'll do this, we'll grow your followers," and I'm like, so. But that's where I'm happy again. Business brain is.
It's so cool. You know what? You gotta like pick and choose your battles with that, right? But you're doing awesome organically. I'm all about the word of mouth too. That's the most powerful tool you have.
I looked at my Spotify play on my analytics the other day, and half of it was, well, not half, but a good portion was in the US there on the East Coast.
That's
like,
awesome. Yeah. Oh, I'm pushing it, and I'm telling all my people, so
Yeah, no, I appreciate
on
it.
the podcast too, like we'll make sure everybody gets to listen to a teaser, and then we'll send them to your YouTube or your website.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
So, no, it's so exciting. Like you're doing really awesome stuff. So I want to talk a little bit more about, like, obviously music for you is like an outlet, right? Because I know you said you go through anxiety, and I do too. Like, so when I read that, I was like, I can so relate. So can you talk about, like, how do you get in the zone, like when you're going through those emotions that you have no control over, basically?
Yeah. A lot of my anxiety that I've gone through, and panic attacks and whatnot, has been surrounded by health. It's called like health anxiety. Mm-hmm. It's been a journey. I've had anxious feelings and thoughts ever since I was a kid. But as a kid, you don't know what it is, where you sort of feel like you're outside of your body. I remember many times as a kid, you're outside of your body. And I'm like, well, that's a bit weird, but whatever, you're a kid, But then as I look back at it now, I go, oh, those were the sort of I don't want to say building blocks, but they were the sort of telltale signs. And then it was actually 2009. It was. I had was rushed to hospital with a atrial fibrillation in the heart, which was obviously very, very traumatic experience. Never didn't know what's going on, and was there was there overnight, and they long story short, it was nothing to do internally. It was my birthday and graduation rolled into a big weekend of partying and whatnot, and
catches up with you eventually, right?
Sorry. Oh yeah. Dehydration, and if I remember correctly, it was, and I haven't touched them since, but it was vodka Red Bulls on the last night.
That would do that.
Yeah, and you just, because at 21, 22, you think you're invincible.
You don't know any 100%. Like, you don't know any different.
You've got no idea. But then you speak to the doctors and they go, oh, we have a person like you in here 3 times a week. And then, so they did all the internal tests, and, it was all fine, and just don't be stupid, don't be silly with the stuff. And so since then, I didn't drink caffeine for 2 years after that. I had decaf coffee. Back on the caffeine now, though. Which
you're drinking this morning up for us. I love it. Got to keep yourself going.
Have two a day, but yeah. Look, I mean, that was the trigger for a lot of things for me, and I'm so in tune with my body. Like, the average, I suppose person, you'd have all these sensations, and you go, well, whatever, just get on with it. But I'm so, like, I feel every heartbeat. I feel every palpitation, I feel every misbeat, and it's just, I suppose, it's learning to live with it and learning to deal with it. And people ask the question, well, how does that, what about when you go on stage and and this sort of stuff we perform? I'm like, yeah, it's different anxiety. That's the exciting stuff. That's the exciting, getting on there, and you've always got to have nerves. I mean, if the day you don't have nerves, you shouldn't be doing it. But butterflies. But yeah, I mean, so that's getting in the zone. I mean, you never. I don't think you ever quite beat it. You've got to learn to manage it. And I manage things better now. I meditate and make sure that don't have too much caffeine. But you can. I think like anybody, no matter what level you are, if you want to call it anxiety, you have your good days, you have your bad days, you have your up days and your down days, and I think, I mean, and especially with writing music, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it flows, sometimes it doesn't. So it's interesting that people go, how do you write a song, or what do you do when you write a song? And I mean, I've listened to many artists before, like some of my idols like Elton John and Bernie Taupin, how they write. They've never been in the same room together when they write, and it's some days it works, and sometimes you just gotta go, no, it's just not working today.
Totally.
So when you're trying to force,
just a curiosity,
trying to force something.
No, totally, you can't force it. I completely agree. So how many songs have you written, like, in your lifetime thus far?
Well, the past year, we've written close to 20.
Right, that's what you were saying.
Yeah. Up until then, I hadn't written a lot. I'd written probably three songs before, and then, as I said, life got in the way, and then all that sort of thing.
That's amazing. So the pandemic like let you bring back like your childhood like dream, basically.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I think it's. Yeah, I mean, I don't think you ever quite know if you're a songwriter, if you're not a songwriter, and I think it's a very that sort of creative. I mean, I see people going, these things advertised for workshops and doing songwriting workshops, and I don't discredit them or say anything bad about them, but I mean, I think it's a very natural sort of thing. There's no quite set process when you're creative. That sort of thing is not quite set process. I'm not going to go, okay, I'm going to bang out the first chorus, the first verse, I'm going to bang out the chorus, and then I'm going to bang this out. I'm going to bang that out. One of the songs I wrote the bridge first, and then then that became the chorus, and then flipped that one out, became the verse, and all that sort of stuff. And you just never know how it's going to win. And I think one thing you constantly hear from musicians is don't try and write the music, just let the music write.
Great advice. That's so good. Yeah, I love that.
Because you might want this, you might want it to go there, but it's not going there. Like you just I want to have a song with I want to have a strong, this song needs to have a great bridge in it, and then you write the song and you go, it doesn't need a bridge, just needs a solo or something. Right. So just the way it happens.
That's solid advice, Dom. Solid advice. So tell us too about like what are next steps for you? So now obviously like you have this launch, like what are some goals you have? Like outside of reaching more people, like what else do you want to do as a singer, songwriter, and instrumentalist?
I think, well, look, how long have you got? No, I think it's like to get out, just perform live again. I mean, Sydney now is starting to allow that again. It's all, as I said, it's all about COVID and the pandemic and whatnot, and what you can do and what you can't do. Obviously, it's great now that you can do things online, and you can release music online and whatnot. But no amount of technology will ever trump the human contact and even in the face. I mean, obviously, we can do Zoom now, and I've been living my life for the past year and a half on Zoom calls. But it's nothing like sitting opposite somebody and looking in, just connecting with them and reading their body language and whatnot. And obviously back to performing, it's live, performing to a live audience and feeling that. And because, I did a gig for the first time in a while down the road the other day, and debuted the song. That was the first time I'd ever sung an original song live. It was the first time. We had to fill 3 sets, and I had all my friends there, friends and supporters and whatnot down here, and obviously, but they were just waiting for get me out of here. That's what they were waiting for at the end, and I was like, it's coming, but I want to let you know a few other ones.
Yeah, gotta keep it up until the big end.
Oh yeah. You got to keep them on edge. You got to keep them waiting. So, totally. No, that was a good gig, and there was a sense of sort of, especially in it was a Sunday afternoon, 2 to 5. It was Valentine's Day actually, 2 to 5 in the afternoon it was, and slowly live music was coming back. Not much goes on a Sunday around where I live, and people right next door to us is right next door to the place is an ice creamery called Messina, which is just fantastic ice cream. And people go there for a Sunday with the kids, and they were walking past to go get the ice cream, and they heard, obviously, like, you hear the live music, and then they came out, and people were dancing on the street, and there was a feeling of liberation, I suppose. There was a feeling of, God, something, we can do something, and that was a good feeling. That was a good feeling to do that. And I like that was quite a small stage there, and just me and a guitarist, but I like the big band. I like having a band and
totally
backup singers, and
I love it. The whole shebang. Like, you need everything.
Oh yeah,
right.
100%. Costume changes, wig changes, everything.
You need it all. You need the whole experience. I love the vision. I'm all about the vision, because that's I'm big on spiritual manifestation. That's why I'm say it out loud, because You manifested it, you know. I'm so big on that. It's freaking awesome.
And one thing as well, you know, I probably, my background is actually from the UK, so my parents from England, and so I've got a lot of family over there. They've been locked down for the best part of a year. I normally go to UK once a year just to see family, but now I've got a number of people wanting to book me in some gigs over there, do gigs over there for, you know, which is exciting. So back to your question is like, you know, once it all, you know, and I don't know, we just don't know when it's going to happen. I'd love to get back over to the UK, and obviously I want to I've got mates in Minneapolis in the US as well, and they've been spruiking my song. And I was like, oh, I'd love to. You just don't, you know, at the moment you just don't know. So
it's all about like timing, right? Everything works out in the right.
100%.
So how can people? We're going to play game time in a few minutes. But how can people like get in touch with you, download your song, follow you on social media, tell us all the things?
So main one I use is Instagram, and that's at Dom Cotton M for music. Sorry, just confused myself. Instagram at Dom Cotton 1.
That's what I thought. I was like, I think it's one Dom.
yeah. Sorry, I'm confusing my Facebook and my Instagram. So,
that's okay.
And my Facebook is at Dom Cotton M. M for Mary, and obviously YouTube as well. My channel Dom Cotton, DOMCOTTON. You'll see the obviously the film clip there, and we've just released. I don't know if you've seen it. We've just released a fan compilation video of people. So I've got a lot of my friends and people across the world have actually done a miming, lip syncing to the song, and you know I put the shout out to people, and I've got people in the UK. I've got my mates in Minneapolis, and they went outside, and it was just completely snowing. You know, it was just, and they were in there miming my song. And I've got my mate who's in Kenya. I've got a mate who, obviously, a friend who was in Vietnam, and so we tracked it all through there and put some flags on there in the video, and it was the response was great. So yeah, it's you know, Australia, UK, Vietnam, US, and Kenya. So that's on the channel now as well. So that was a really
proud moment, right?
Yeah, reaction. And I was, you know, very happy that people sort of jumped on board straight away. Yeah, let's do it.
So wait, also too, how can people get the album?
So look, so obviously it's coming through all the major streaming services, obviously Spotify, iTunes, Apple. The name of the album is called About Time. So I think that speaks for itself for me, in leaving this for so long. But all through the major music distributors, so Apple, Amazon, Spotify, iTunes, all the major ones, they're all going through. To be fair, I go through a music company online which distributes. It's like a funnel, sort of spits.
So it'll put them everywhere. Very smart.
Sorry. Yeah. So
very smart.
Yeah, and they sort of, as opposed to having to go through each streaming service individually and create an account and all that sort of thing. So
I think honestly, Dom, I think most people do that. I do that for my podcast too. You know what I mean? Like, one and done. Get it up and blast it, please.
Yeah, bang.
See it everywhere.
For some people, and everyone's individual. It's like, I like Spotify, I like iTunes, I like this. So,
but they make it accessible that way, which is great.
Yeah, 100%.
Love it. Okay, so let's talk about fun facts, and then we're going to play game time. So you have a heritage of Australian, you said UK, and what was the other one? English and Irish.
It's funny to explain because it's like, I think there's a map of Europe, and I think I'm lying on top of it. So grandfather, my mum's dad was Austrian heritage from Vienna, and parents both from England, but both of my grandmothers, so my mum's mum and my dad's mum, from Ireland. So yeah, so there's a bit there.
Very cool. And something about you have a sore hamstring. Can you elaborate on this, please?
Sorry, I bike ride every day, and I've got a sore in Australia. We say I've got a sore hammy.
That's
I think it's just from I try and bike ride every day, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, so and that sort of that's obviously for keeping fit, stress relieving. No, I had a bit of So I've had to go to physio last few times. Like, it's just from overuse and whatnot. So I don't want to stop because it keeps me level.
Totally.
Yeah.
So what do you use for a sore hamstring? Do you ice it? Like, what do you do?
Stretch. I've got like a roller pin that sort of you put on the floor and you sort of roll over it with your obviously on your hamstring there.
Lotion stuff, right? Too. I know like CBD stuff helps with that.
Yeah, I mean, sort of deep heat and things like that. I mean, I'm sure if I stopped for 2 weeks,
it would heal itself, right?
It would heal itself, but
100%.
One thing goes and another thing comes back. So
right.
It's like,
That's hilarious. Okay, so before we play game time, everybody's got to follow Dom Cotton 1 on Instagram, Dom Cotton on Facebook, Dom Cotton on YouTube, all the things. So I just wanted to drop that again. So let's play game time. Are you ready?
Yeah. All right, I'm ready. I don't know what we're doing, but I'm ready.
No, it's really fun. It's just a fun way for us to get to know you. So tell us Dom's favorite food. Lasagna. That sounds pretty bomb. Is this like homemade or like what are we doing?
It's mummy's lasagna.
I love it. So like when you go to like the UK, that's like your favorite thing to have there.
Yeah, and it's a tradition that we have lasagna on Christmas Eve.
That's cute.
Always.
I love that. Awesome.
And if I, there's been a couple of times where, because if you're making lasagna from scratch, it is a it's a process. Obviously, if you're making the sheets and making all that sort of stuff yourself, which my mum does. It's Christmas Eve we have it, and sometimes some Christmases mum's like, oh, I can't. Oh, it's a bit long. I'm like, no, you've got to make it. You cannot make anything else but lasagna.
I love that. That's awesome. And I when I think of lasagna too, like I do think of like holidays and family time. So it's more than just a food. It's like bringing people together, which I think is awesome.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I love that.
You can do big dish and it feeds everybody.
Totally. So cool. Yeah. All right. So it seems like you're an avid traveler. Where is the favorite place you've ever traveled to? And what is a bucket list place you've never been to?
Favorite place. I love Greece. Love the islands in Greece. Because there's so many of them and I still haven't explored all of them yet. Bucket list, like to go to. I love Europe. And there's, as you know, there's so many countries in Europe. So many countries in Europe. So many languages. You go from one border to another. You're in another culture, another language, and I love that. I just love that. I mean, especially Australia is a fantastic country, but we're not bordered by anything, and we are a long way away, and obviously closest country is probably New Zealand, 2.5 hour flight there. I suppose I haven't been to South America yet. I'd like to go to South America. Very
cool. I'm like so not good with that. So what is it? Is that Brazil?
Yeah. So South America would be.
What is that, Dom? Because I was just in Central America. Like I get Central America and South America confused. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah. So South. Yeah, I think isn't when it goes from Mexico down, that's South America. So I think it's
okay.
So like South America, if you think of Brazil, Argentina, Spain, Peru, all that sort of thing. So I'd love to go and I'd love to go to Brazil.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely a place like everybody should go to. It looks amazing.
100%. Oh yeah, 100%.
All right, so we know you've taken on music since being home for so many months. What's another hobby or thing that you've taken on that you never really used to focus on pre-pandemic?
Meditation.
Love meditation. So what's your advice? Like, do you have apps on your phone that you like, or?
Yeah, there's an app I use called 10% Happier, and one of the got sort of the head, whatever you call it, promoter. He's actually a well-known news reporter in the US. If you saw his face, you'd know who he was.
Cool.
He was he's famous for actually having an on-air panic attack.
Wow.
When he was and you see it's horrible footage to look at because you just know what's happening there. You know what's happening. That's what made him sort of had to stop and go and do it. And sort of go and do it. I mean, I suppose people's thoughts towards meditation is still quite taboo and sitting there like this. And to me, sometimes it's just stopping.
Literally.
Just stop.
True.
Just stop. Stop. Feel. Stop. Feel. Feel your senses. Feel your body, and everything that goes around you in the world. And it's this day and age. It's just hard to keep any sort of center. It's just about stopping. So, and I've got they've got all different ones. So many different ones. However you're feeling. A 5-minute quick one, or a 10-minute, or a 15-minute long. For working with anxiety or getting you off to sleep and whatnot. They're all these different practitioners, and it took me a while to get into it, but now it's like when I'm feeling that sort of really that nervous energy or that sort of anxious, not positive stuff. It's good to get in there and do that.
And pause. So good. So do you do it at night before you go to bed too?
I don't tend to do it at night, to be fair. I mean, I probably sort of neglected to mention this, but 4 years ago, I had what was probably still known as a nervous breakdown, and I didn't go outside really properly for 3.5 months. And what I know a lot about it now is it's basically adrenal fatigue. With a lot of things, I've done a lot of reading about it and whatnot, and just things. I think it's just your body's way of just saying, I'm going to shut down now. Mm-hmm. I'm shutting down because you're going to, you're damaging me. So that's what happened. And at the time you don't know what the hell's going on. And then you sort of, that was 4 years ago, and I learned to get, understand what things were, did a lot of reading. My mum gave me a book that she read at the same time when she was actually pregnant with me. Maybe did I cause it? No, but there's a book called Self-Help for Your Nerves, and it's an old Australian psychologist called Dr. Claire Weeks, and she's been dead for a long time now, early 90s. I think she passed away, but she, reading her book and about adrenal fatigue, and that's but people say, even back years ago, they were saying, well, it's not a nervous breakdown. It's not, you're not breaking down. It's it's your
body needs rest, basically.
Your body needs rest, and read. And as I'm reading, I read this book, and literally as I'm reading this book, every page had something which I could relate to. This bang, thumping heart, twitchy fingers, things feel like they're crawling underneath your skin, like that sort of stuff. So. Yeah, and even now when I'm sort of having a day, I'll go back and read a chapter.
I love that.
Go back and read a chapter.
Reading's so therapeutic too. That's another thing. I think reading really forces you to meditate and just be zen,
Well, and I think, combining that with my answer in your question before, I have been reading a lot more. So reading and, at night as well. I mean, because as you know, if you do this on the phone just before you go, and then you get yourself into the YouTube funny fail videos or whatever, and you just get going.
Not good for your brain long term. Not great. Not great.
No, I know. Although I've got a mate who swears by it. He says, "Oh, when I'm tired, I just get on the
Not for everyone. Mate. Not for everyone. That's all I gotta say.
No, not for everyone. So.
Each their own, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
All right. So 2 more questions. So if you could wear one outfit for the rest of your life, from head to toe, what would it be and why?
Elvis jumpsuit.
Oh my God, I asked this question. That is the coolest thing I've heard. That is amazing. So what is this?
No, actually, I'd say, Elvis jumpsuit number 1, Freddie Mercury.
So good.
Outfit.
That is baller. That is amazing. What color is it going to be? What's your favorite color?
Look. Obviously, if I'm a massive Elvis fan, and he had many colored jumpsuits, but it's got to be white.
I love it. Classic.
I think it's got. I think it's got to be the Aloha from Hawaii concert, white. And then the cape at the end.
Amazing. Doc's coming out. He's coming out to just perform all the things. I love it.
Yeah. So I mean, look, it's obviously you look at it now, and if you can compartment that, just look at it, this is what it was for the time. But I mean, I still, when I want to listen to music, I'll still chuck on that concert, because that was the first ever satellite beam concert as well around the world. So ever. And the King did it. The King did it for the first time. So.
Freaking awesome. All right. So final question, which I think I've kind of gotten to know this answer, but I want to hear it anyway. So if you could spend a day with somebody dead or alive you have never met, who would it be and why? It could be more.
This is going to be a boring answer now because
I know, because now you just kind of answered it, but it's fine.
Can I have a group of people?
Yeah, that's totally good with me.
Elvis. Freddie Mercury. Old Blue Eyes, Sinatra.
So good.
Bobby Darin. He died. Yeah, he great artist and great songwriter. Obviously, passed. He was very young. And two more: James Brown and Muhammad Ali.
All the legends. I love it. Great choices. So Elvis would be the first person you'd want to like spend the day with out of all of them.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. Like
learn
have you ever have you gone to like the wax museum and ever like taken a photo next to him at any point in time?
I've been at look, I mean, we've got a wax museum here in Sydney. It's not like the one in London, Madame Tussauds in London and whatnot. And I don't know if there is an Elvis. I think there is an Elvis one, but it's the young one where he's shaking the leg and all that sort of stuff. But it's not quite the same.
Not the ones that are extra and like exciting, right? Exactly.
Yeah. Like sort of doing a karate chop move,
Totally, I love it. That's
no, I mean, yeah, I think I remember years ago when I went to England, I went to Madame Tussauds and stood next to Pelé, the great soccer player, and that sort of stuff. Sorry. Stood next to his wax figure.
Right. Still, but I consider that I understood what you were saying. So don't worry.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, Dom, you are so fantastic. Can you share again with us how people can follow you on socials, stay up to date, get the album, all the things?
Yeah. But first of all, I'd like to say thank you to all the support so far and for your support as well, Jackie. And thank you for having me on. This sort of generosity is never lost on me, so I really do appreciate it. So thank you, and to everybody else that has played and shared, and really appreciative of that, because you're only as good as your fans, really, or people that like your music. I think anyway. But yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at DomCotton1. That's the numeral 1, and Facebook at DomCotton M for Mary. YouTube Dom Cotton, DOMCOTTON. Obviously, I won't give the URL link because that's just too long. It's what? I'll put it in the blog though, so when I promote it, they'll be able to access it. So that'll be perfect. Yeah, and I'm slowly learning TikTok. That's so exciting. I've got nephew. I've got the best thing about it is I've got nephews and nieces who are all 16 and under, and they're experts on TikTok, right? They all are. It's hilarious. I've been learning it recently, and songs been played by a few people. On TikTok you can do the live sort of streaming, and they play the song, so which is good. So yeah, no, it's good. But also, so I go through that online distributor called TuneCore. You may have heard of them, and I've got a website profile on there. That's just basically tunecore.com/Dom Cotton. Love it. Everybody definitely subscribe, follow, all the things. You are awesome, Dom. Thank you for coming on today. Thank you everyone for tuning in to Becoming Next on Scene, and stay tuned for his next on Scene.
Where do you go? What do you feel? How can you see? Places you know, faces you meet, things that you need. Who is it now? Why in this town? How does it seem? Spaces you grow, time as it slows won't let you leave. So get me out of here, break free from the fear. Launch yourself into the stratosphere. Take a advice, will that suffice and give you reprieve? Do you know